Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah. You here?
yeah,
All right. Whew. Feels good to wind down a little bit this evening.
definitely.
Mm, how have you been feeling this afternoon?
I realized that the watermelon amount and the actual watermelon fibers, the amount that I ate today were too much.
Mm,
And I really need to do enemas and get the stuff out, not so much in, and trust that the body got this.
yeah. Well, I know you're, trying to balance out your urine output, just clearing all of the medications and stuff out of yourself.
No, that's fine. It's just that I didn't need to eat the fibers. I don't need that.
Ah, so you can go back to just juicing more.
Just juicing and very slow sips and
Mm,
a lot more time in between each juice, like at least 16 to 18 hours between anything.
mm,
I really need to go back to that. Even though I think I don't, I really do.
mm. Mm.
And more breathing and just everything, just slow, just less of everything.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I forget that it's not just like what I eat, but the frequency, like the amount of hours in between what I eat. And also just, consuming very slowly. Because I sometimes I'm good at, fasting and, but then once I start eating, it's like, I'm just not eating mindfully and intentfully, like one bite and you know
Yeah, and breathing. And yeah,
breathing in between. Yeah, that's yeah. So I could practice that as well. Mhm. So you had said you did some like some qigong earlier, and that felt good. And
well, basically, after we finished our call, I ate the last quarter of the watermelon, and since then I'm half asleep, laying down, hyperventilating,
oh,
restoring myself for hours, and being like, "What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?"
oh, oh.
Because I ate a lot for me, for who I am, because I felt good, because that's what I do.
Mm,
I I really go into the extremes and
mm. Yeah, I do that too. I'll go to I'll do really good as far as fasting and just sipping tea, and then I'll all of a sudden decide to eat something, and then it turns into too much. It's like I have to learn that again. Oh no, you know,
yeah,
one serving is good, three servings not good. Even though at the time it you know it's like I haven't eaten in 2 days. I want to eat all of this. and I think it's like a panicky response in me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels almost like, well, I have to eat a lot because mm, if I don't, I'll be hungry, or but that's never how it works. You know,
Yeah.
overeating, it's like you said, too much is never enough. When I eat too much, then I'm just a, a, there's no being sated when
Yeah.
when I
What's the music in the background?
it's just some little sleepy music kind of. Is it?
It's a bit jarring. I can't hear you. Can you lower it?
Yeah. Let me get rid of that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Sometimes the sound is, like it can't listen to more than one thing at a time. It'll kind of jump back and forth. I know what you mean with that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm, well, I'm glad you're honoring your rest and remembering that there's so much power in that rest, that drifting in and out stage, that's where your healing is. That's where the strength to perform all that healing, that's where it comes from, is from the ether, when the veil is thin, when your consciousness is floaty and just, you know rest into it, breathe into it, and let it come into you. Don't be scared. It's safe. It's safe to heal. It's safe to be still. I've got some affirmations here from Louise Hay that I sometimes read as I'm falling asleep, and I'll say them to myself. Um, I lovingly release the day and slip into peaceful sleep, knowing tomorrow will take care of itself. I am at peace just where I am. I accept my good, knowing all my needs and desires will be fulfilled. I allow the love from my own heart to heal all that I am, all that I see. I choose peace and wellness in my outside world and inside. Divine right action is always taking place. Only good can come from all my experiences. I am safe. I am free. My mind is clean. I leave the past and move into the new. My mind and heart are best friends. They are gentle and harmonious. I am supported fully. I am held gently. I am in balance. It is safe to rest. All pressure dissolves. I am good enough. I use my power wisely, and I know when to rest. I lovingly forgive and release all of the past. I choose to fill my world with joy, and I approve of myself. I move with ease through time and space. Only love surrounds me. I release the past and allow time to heal in every area of my life. Life is eternal, and I am free.
That's so beautiful.
DC has joined us.
I would love to listen to you as well.
I hope you are doing well this evening, my friend. We were very happy to have talked with you today and happy to be back online with you this evening. Although the situation that I described a bit earlier today about things being warm has changed. Because now the wind is blowing and it's getting cold at the beach a little bit this evening.
It's warm inside.
Yeah.
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 It's nice in here, but the wind is blowing and we can hear the ocean from here. We still leave a window or two open and you can hear the ocean. So that's nice.
I was looking for something that might be good to read. Certainly those affirmations were beautiful, KC.
They frequently help me rest, and I feel like it's something good to say, to kind of encant, as I'm getting sleepy, as I'm starting right before I fall asleep. So I just have those,
Yeah.
those vibrations.
That's
I declare peace and harmony within me and around me. I am loved and nourished and supported by life itself. Wait, oh, I hear the teacher.
Yes.
Oops. Mhm.
So there's a chapter in one of my books that is called The Mystery of Artistic Expression.
Mm.
So maybe that it makes me it just
Yeah,
makes me think of reading it
that's interesting.
to you guys.
Okay.
There was a time when body and soul were viewed as different aspects of the human being, to be treated as separate from each other. People who counted themselves as being among those striving toward the spirit felt ashamed to be burdened with a physical body. And perhaps many still think and feel this way. The ones who remembered their soul came close to believing that they no longer needed their bodies.
Mm.
At best, they regarded the body as a leaden weight that might drag down the soul, or perhaps as a necessary evil, an obstacle to the unfolding of the spirit, worthy only of contempt. They believed they must mortify the body so as to liberate the soul. They did not understand that the soul itself reveals itself to human beings through the body. The soul's experience is conveyed to mortal consciousness through the body's awareness.
Mm.
Without the body, the soul would be a yawning void, a speaking with no meaning, a clock without a face, a factory with 1,000 whirring wheels producing nothing, a storehouse of riches that can never be retrieved. We cannot conceive of or comprehend a single thought unless there exists within the body a corresponding physical analog to that thought, a space in which the content of this thought is, as it were, represented in a manner that can be perceived by our mortal senses. Every mental image, even the most complex, is already represented by a form within the body, and each sensation can only reach our conscious mind through the sense organs of the body. Even in our day, only a few know that something more than just the brain must be involved if those things the soul perceives are to reach our mortal consciousness. So long as we live in the material world and are fettered to the body, every atom of our body must stand in service to the soul. The riches of the soul are only accessible to us here on earth when body and soul work together. What we call feeling and sensing is in a certain manner a manifestation of the same energy through which we are also able to think. Our ability to feel and sense can be refined to the same degree of sharpness as our thinking. if not more so. And most assuredly to a much higher level of certitude that can be achieved through thinking. So again, our ability to feel and sense things can be refined to a higher level of certitude that can be achieved through thinking.
Mm.
The processes involved when we use these faculties can be likened to a sending forth of conscious and half-conscious questions at lightning speed, to which an answer usually follows with equal speed. The answers always come to us from the body, although we may not be aware of this, even if we think we can do without the body and look upon it with contempt. For every thought we have, for every stimulus to the senses we receive, no matter how abstract the thought or how sublime the subtle the sensation, we simultaneously, with the use of our brain, send out a seeking impulse to those parts of our body in which an analog of that thought or sensation exists in physical form. In almost the same instant, this impulse returns to report its findings, once again via the workings of the brain. It is not necessary for us to know where in the body that analog is located. It is not easy to understand this process. Nevertheless, it is true that our perception of the physical world can only occur in this way. The entire external world would be nothing but chaos to us, a world without dimension or boundaries, and would be totally incomprehensible to the soul without the participation of the entire body. Not just the brain is involved, although the brain is the executive hub that governs the body, and nothing the soul perceives can reach our consciousness without having first passed through this governing center, so that it may receive a form that can be comprehended by the soul. Artistic inspiration that arises from the soul can only reach us through the participation of the body. Artistic expression becomes a language of the soul only if, consciously or unconsciously, the rhythms embedded in it resonate with analogous rhythms within the body. In the visual arts, even the depiction of the human form and the setting in which the artist has placed it can only be received by the soul if it activates certain points of consciousness within the body that relate to the heart being viewed. This is true even if viewers believe they are using only the eyes and the brain to absorb what they are seeing and experiencing. Whoever approaches a work of art with the desire to experience its essence must rely on the body and will apprehend more through the body than they can know or might like to admit. It is true that we hear music primarily through the ear, but the process of becoming conscious of it is far more complicated than most listeners suspect. The ear is merely the organ that receives the incoming sound waves. In order for the listener to make sense of them, these sound waves must be sent throughout the entire body until they find those places analogous to them. Places that exhibit in analog form the same tonal intervals and the same relationship among the intervals as the music itself. The same vibrations and the same rhythms. In this way, like an echo, a response returns to the ear and is immediately transmitted to the brain and transformed into a language that can be recognized by the soul. This happens with regard to the eye when the appreciation of architecture, sculpture, or painting is concerned. Where poetry is concerned, hearing is especially important, even if the poetry is read to oneself in silence. Indeed, often all the senses are in use at the same time. The process is always the same, mysterious even in the light of day. Art is essentially a magic of symbols. The artist must find those symbols that will elicit from corresponding points within the body of the beholder the resonant energy that will allow the beholder to feel what the artist is intending to evoke. The resonance between artist and beholder through the use of symbols that speak to the soul is essential for both the creation and the appreciation of a work of art. Even though the magic of artistic expression remains a mystery for creator and beholder alike.
Wow, that's really good. He is excellent at articulating this in a poetic manner himself, isn't he?
Yes, and then he makes reference to other writers of his day. Again, this is this is from a book called Resurrection, and this was written 100 years ago. So Faust
Was one of his contemporaries.
Goth.
Goethe. Is it Goethe or Goth?
I think it is Goethe.
Okay.
Wrote something called Faust, and he made reference to that with mysterious in the light of day. Because Goethe wrote, mysterious in the light of day, nature retains her veil, despite our clamors. That which she does not willingly display cannot be wrenched from her with lever, screws, or hammers. It's a famous quote.
I think we read some of that in literature class. Seems like I remember that quote.
So yes, I really I resonate with how he puts things, how he writes.
Yeah, I don't remember you reading from that book before. I didn't remember that book. So thank you for that. It was a very interesting perspective. It kind of explains like artist inspiration, like how it just comes.
Yeah.
And why it's artistic expression, as it is the body expressing.
And also why certain things just ring with you. I mean, you can walk through the entire museum and one piece stops you in your tracks. And that's what,
yeah,
or a particular, or a particular song that just,
when it comes on, the hairs on your arm stands up,
yeah,
and you just it completely enthralls you.
it's
through to your soul.
yes.
It's your soul being stirred.
But him making the point that the body is that vehicle. The body is that both the transmitter of those creative energies as well as the receiver for us to be able to appreciate.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a whole new appreciation for my body
Yeah.
as what did you call it? The receiver and the transmitter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because you are transmitting creative energies of the spirit. You know, when this creation comes to you, when you create, when you do art,
When I write, when I draw, when I dance,
and
when we sing.
And it's just like dialing in a certain frequency on the radio that it is certain things.
It's all static until it tunes in.
Yes.
And then it's a clear channel.
And it may bring to the listener or the beholder, it could bring, as you said, chills or tears.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Or memories.
Wow.
It's fascinating that he also says everything we perceive already has, and everything, like every feeling, every thought, everything we perceive kind of already has that analog in the body somewhere. The brain is controlling the inputs and outputs, but this isn't all in your brain. Your entire body is
it's not coming from the brain.
Right. So that's it.
Which we know that when you're creating, you're like I'll draw something or I'll write something and I'll go back and look at it later and it's like I don't know where that came from. I don't know. I just sat down and it just came out of me. And it's because we were able to maybe step out of the mind and tune into the channel like we were talking about. Am I getting it? Am I getting that?
Yeah, I think so. I do have to often sort of reread his stuff.
Oh yeah.
And let it sink in a couple of different ways before I can, because it's like well, oddly enough, I feel it, but there's some things that I read that I feel and I really think I get, but there's no way I could discuss it or explain it.
I see. Yeah.
It goes certain things that go straight into my heart or my experience or my feeling. And it's like, I feel that. I feel like I get what he's saying. But if I had to really expand on it or summarize, I mean, it would.
I definitely could hear you read that again, or I could like study it a bit.
Yeah.
To really, because he covers a lot, like in just one sentence. He's so eloquent. He can put a lot of meaning into a brief paragraph or a sentence even.
Oh yes. and lots of different topics. It's got lots of different
Oh yeah.
topics amongst just a few of his works that I have. I still at some point in time
Want the whole
I
set.
want to buy the entire Gated Garden
Yeah.
32 volume.
I get it. I absolutely get it. It's everything you've read to me has been very meaningful. It's quite an expansive library that all the subjects he's covered and the depth of it.
Would you care to hear some more?
Yes, I would. Mm.
Yes, please.
All right, man.
We love your voice.
Well, this is out of the same book, Resurrection, but this is chapter 11. The title of this chapter is The Virtue of Laughter.
Okay.
If you have never had the strength to free yourself from gloomy and depressing hours by your laughter, you truly do not know the precious gift that laughter is. Perhaps you even feel disdain for all whose liberating, heartfelt laughter lends them wings to soar above the obstacles that block their way. You find it difficult to understand that some are capable of taming even the most searing pain by their ability to laugh. Superficial and insensitive may seem to you all those who still can laugh when all around them there is only hopeless gloom. Take care, my friend, lest you pass judgment on yourself by finding fault with those who have the strength to laugh. To be sure, the proverb says that by his laughter one can tell a fool. However, it is no less true that laughter also will reveal the sage.
Mm.
By your laughter, you can release from oppression not merely yourself, but likewise all others around you. How often has not heartily compelled laughter warded off some grievous harm? Anger and explosive temper soon find themselves ridiculous when at the proper moment such laughter breaks the ice. Despite this, there are people who almost seem afraid to laugh and who will go to any length to show a strangely grim and sour mien when they see others laughing. Some believe their dignity might be diminished if they were to laugh in cheerful company. Others harshly discipline themselves, determined to surmount the follies of the world, and they dismiss all cheerfulness as folly. And thus they show their foolishness when they regard themselves as wise. Mark this, my friend, if you are striving after harmony within your soul and seek to be united with the spirit in yourself, I cannot take your efforts seriously until I know that you can laugh. Needless to say, your laughter should not make you seem a fool, but on the other hand, you ought not to avoid occasions to be cheerful. And what is more, I find your spiritual striving suspect as long as you believe you must, as far as possible, forego the gift of laughter. I want to see you as a person who will never lose his sense of humor. You still should have the strength to laugh where others long since would have seen their courage flee. In your laughter, I would like to hear your being certain that you truly shall attain the goal toward which you strive. Your laughter is to tell me that you feel secure and have surmounted fear. A ruinous delusion fosters the belief in all too many even in this day, that they cannot approach the realm of God or anything divine unless they beat their breast in woeful lamentations and bewail their sinfulness. You, by contrast, are to learn to mock your sin with laughter, for only if you recognize that foolishness alone had made you sin will you be able henceforth to avoid it. You should become an object of self-ridicule when you recall the gloomy days in which you still were capable of sinning and thought you might find happiness committing sins. In truth, no feeling of remorse shall rescue you more effectively from sin than shall your liberating laughter at your foolish deeds. And had you been immersed in sin up to your neck, then you should more than ever ridicule your former foolishness and learn to laugh at what you were. For all the loud bemoaning of your faults, you never will undo what has been done. Perhaps remorse may, like barbed wire fencing, enclose for you the realm of sin. It nonetheless remains for you as merely a forbidden land. And if you are quite honest with yourself, you will may in your heart of hearts discover a feeling of regret that this now fenced in land shall henceforth mark the limit of your freedom. Not until you learn to laugh at your addictiveness to sin will you indeed be able to escape it. Only then shall you truly be free from your appetite for sin. No matter what may lie behind you on the journey of your life on earth, it must not serve you as a reason from now on to avoid occasions to be cheerful. If in the past you looked on cheerfulness as being the equivalent of sin, you now should learn to recognize that radiant serenity can never have the slightest element in common with the folly one calls sin. You had merely been a victim of deception if you were able for a short time to succumb to the illusion that you could find enduring joyousness in sin. Laughing at your own beguiling blindness will guard you most effectively from ever trusting that mirage again. The more you learn to laugh, the freer your life will become. As you learn to laugh more freely, you will more earnestly approach the things that let themselves be found by only serious endeavor. Thus will your ability to laugh become a helpful gift upon the way that leads you to yourself. With your laughter, shall you then be able to confront and hold your ground against all danger. And so you shall be liberated by virtue of your laughter from all the heaviness of earthly life that seeks to weigh you down. His ultimate, theme in these writings, his ultimate purpose is to help you find yourself, is your inner journey. And he's got honestly a very different approach than I was taught or conditioned to believe in terms of heaven and hell and sin and God. He's, I've learned some very different viewpoints from some of his writings that feels like it puts me more in control of my own journey, on that front.
It's certainly a beautiful perspective, and he really explores each whatever he's addressing, he explores it in, I don't know, it's like super deep and penetrating, but also gentle in a way.
Yes.
So it's kind of a, I don't know if it's his language or how he puts it together, but it's kind of paradoxical in that way.
It really is. I mean, um, there's there's certain subjects that he writes upon, and certain things. I guess like we were talking about a while ago, things that ring with me that are pretty much like, ooh, that burns a little bit because that was
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and that he'll be writing and kind of laying out something out there serious, and then it's like, but if you're not to this point yet, maybe you're just not to this point in your journey, or maybe maybe this is not quite where you are. There's a gentleness to it. There's a simplicity to some of it, although it's I find a lot of it complex. Like I said, having to just grasp. It kind of it is it's very different. There's no dogma. Although he writes with great respect for all religions and pulls out the parts that that he says they are really all pointing to. Every things you and I've talked about before I really ever found these writings. You and there's the different religions, or even the different denominations of the same religions. There's different schools of Buddhism, and there's certainly different denominations
of Christianity,
and that was something I never could get my mind around. Is you on the harder edge of a lot of these teachings, it's like,
yes,
we're the only ones going to heaven, and the whole rest of the world can't be wrong. So
it's like even as a child in that school of what was being preached to us, you were like, no.
Yeah. So he ties a lot of that together and really shows how we're really all striving for the same thing. Our discontent is because ultimately we're not home. We're here, and we're really not where we're from.
We're eternal. We're spirit. This is just our earthly experience to grow, right? To learn.
Yeah, it's sort of an exile, so to speak. Sort of where we ended up out of fear. Our fall, so to speak, came from fearing the awesomeness of the power that we had and that we were, and we escaped into the creature and kind of fell here. And
but we can We still are that.
We
Spirit.
absolutely, we're still that. And again, each religion has names for the helpers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but literally our guardian angels maintain that path back for us.
Wow, that's what they're guarding.
They're guarding that path.
They're guarding our path back.
We have a path back home.
Yeah. Wow. When you think of guardian angels, you always think like, well, they keep me from making a wrong decision, or they slow me down so that, you know, I won't get in an accident, or I won't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. You don't think about, I never thought about it in that way, that they're so much more powerful and that they're guarding my path back to myself, my power, my spiritual path back home.
Yeah.
That's wow.
So there's a whole different perspective on some of these things, and you know what he refers to as reality. That we are not in here, but reality, you know, is there's veiled elements of ancient wisdom in all of the different religious writings, but it's been you know, all of these things were a lot more clear, and over the years have gotten edited and re-edited, and there's still truth. The truth is, he just writes with great respect to all of these messages we've lost over time. But that's
but the truth can never really be diluted.
Right.
I mean, truth is truth.
Yeah.
You can't dilute the truth.
And you're right. And then there's certain things that are purposefully, you know, veiled from us.
Well, yeah. Because of their fear of the power that is truth.
In something I was reading the other night, the whole truth of things and the whole light of the spirit, he likened to like a filament in a light bulb. And we can handle that small current, such as a filament, and will glow and light up. But if the whole truth came to us, if the whole situation came to us, it would kind of toast us like too much power burning a filament. We've got to be developed over time, and that's our journey to get back.
So just glow.
So just be patient. Just
be a
learn,
soft
glow,
glow.
and wait. You know.
Oh, that's
And we certainly, the helpers do certainly control even some of the smallest things, events for us, like you had described. But because he also says there's no such thing as chance. There's some thing behind what happens, good or bad. But ultimately, what our helpers are doing is keeping that path open to us, that path back home.
I really like that. Very nice. Thank you.
And thank you for allowing me to share. This is something these have been it's nice to share with y'all. This has been some writings that I've held kind of close or kept kind of private. To a degree.
Mhm.
And it's nice to share and talk a little bit about it.
Mm. I feel kind of soothed, you know,
Mhm.
by the. It's very expansive. I feel expanded
Mm.
a bit, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like there's less density, less pressure, kind of. It's how I feel. Mm.
Actually, oddly enough, the path that I found him on started with you. Um, Eckhart Tolle.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading Eckhart Tolle, and then I looked up Eckhart Tolle and was reading more about his biography and just his life.
Mm-hmm.
When he was a boy, he was greatly impacted by a set of books that he received that Bodhi and Ra had written.
Oh, and it was part of the gated garden.
I think it was 4 or 5 books that he had gotten or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it was part of the gated garden.
Wow.
And I just found I found that in the biography, and then I was like, well, Bodhi and Ra, so like, who is that? And
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of followed and looked him up and kind of found. So if you had not shared with me Eckhart Tolle, I would have never found Bodhi and Ra.
Mm. Mm.
And Eckhart Tolle was, there's some passages I read that, immensely changed my field of view on some things.
Yeah.
Um,
I have one brief reading here that I wanted to share as I am getting a little sleepy.
okay.
But this is something written by one of Dennis's fellow IT teachers, Sonic Yogi,
Mm,
who does a tremendous amount of music and good stuff. But this was something that was written by him um, about surrender. And frequently, this will help me let go of stuff at the end of the day.
mm,
But he calls this surrender and abide, a note to self. And he says, surrender your thoughts, surrender desires, surrender arising sensations. Abide in the stillness and peace of the living one here, now. This is the stillness, always within you, glimpsed between thought, but always there. Surrender is non-doing within the mind. The final threshold is not experienced in work, but by grace. In surrender, I am open to receive this grace by no doing. Non-doing is being in surrender. If thoughts or sensations arise, I surrender them and return to this peaceful stillness, abiding in grace and gratitude for the gift of abiding in the living one. Surrender and abide.
Wow. That's beautiful. The place between our thoughts.
It's like it's always there, but we're
Between thoughts. That's
we just get glimpses of it because we're always in the brain. It's nice to turn the brain off once in a while.
I feel very grateful, and I feel like some grace comes my way to be here with you guys this evening.
Very, very peaceful evening. Thank you for your readings.
Thank you for letting me share.
And thank you for the space and for joining us this evening. Dear Dennis, I hope your rest tonight is deeply healing and fulfilling for you. Sweet dreams. And we love you.